All right. Good day. Welcome to today's section of your 30 days of code challenge brought to you by Code Flex. And without wasting much time today, we'll be venturing into JavaScript. If you have gone this far to day 15, which is today, I want to congratulate you. You have really done well. It's time for you to now fasten your belt very well as we take our ride on JavaScript. Right now, I want to explore JavaScript. Front end um, programming language proper, right? But don't forget that we are looking at fundamentals, right? What we did in JavaScript CSS are actually fundamental for complete beginners, right? Because we are actually looking at complete beginners in here, right? So we don't have to, you know, over expand our boundaries, right? So that's why we are just confining everything to basics, right? So today we are looking at JavaScript. And what is JavaScript? I could remember that when I was introducing front-end development, or sorry, web app development in general, we talked about all of these. We talked about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I could also remember that I told us that JavaScript is a programming language that allows us to add interactivity to our web pages, right? So that not being doubted, that is what it does. There's nothing we are going to say that is different from that. But most importantly, there are some other features or there are also other concepts that we need to understand before we really venture into JavaScript in proper. One of that is our browser's console, right? Because so far so well, we are going to be using it a lot, and we need to be introducing to our console. Now, what is a browser console? A browser console allows you to debug your code. It allows you to see a quick result of what is happening in your code, right? Then it helps you to debug. Then it helps you to run a quick test, right, on your code. So how can we access our developer, I'm sorry, our console, right? Our browser's console. For those of you that will be using Chrome, I'm using Chrome personally. I think it's slightly different in different browsers, but it's similar to get there. So you can just click on this uh, three icon on your Chrome and go to more tools here and click on developer tools. And once you do that, you will be in your console. You will see different tabs up here. You can be in your DOM, your elements. You can also be in your console. Sorry. So, like I said, the different from the different tabs here, you can select this console and you are now in your browser's console. So inside this console, you can test run codes, do so many things. You can even do so many JavaScript calculations like 2 plus 2 is 2 plus 3, for instance, will give you 5. It's the console that allows you test run and do some JS manipulations because they are all actually based on JavaScript runtime, right? So I'm going to clear all that first, and that's that about the browser's console. Okay, there's another shortcut of getting there. I can just come to my page and right click and then click on inspect, and when I do that, it's going to take me to exactly the same place, right? It's going to take me to exactly the same place, right? So I can also do what I did before, selecting my console, and I will be right in my console. Okay, so that's that about JavaScript console. And now we are going to be looking at JavaScript proper. And before I continue, sorry about that. Before I continue, what was I saying? Okay. Now let's look at JavaScript proper. JavaScript, like I said, allows us to add interactivity to our web pages, right? And before we can talk about that, we should also know that there is a way JavaScript codes can be linked to our HTML. There's a way they are added to our HTML. We don't just expect to start adding interactivity to our web pages without having to, you know, do one or two things to set one or two things up in order for us to have that permission. Meanwhile, in this particular introduction, we are not going to really be seeing that interactivity that we are expecting to see because there are some fundamentals that we need to know before we start having to create things that makes our website interactive, right? So that is why we are going to be looking at how to add scripts to our HTML. First, to add JavaScript to our HTML, we can do it by adding a script tag, script element, right, to our document head or just inside the body, just before the closing tag, as most people will always prefer. So just as you have in CSS, you can put your style tag in here. In JavaScript, what you use is script, right? You use the script tag and you can write your scripts inside. So I can also take this off and put it down here, scripts down here. So, and I'll start writing my scripts. For instance, if I come to inspect, I want to be in my console, I want to do one or two in there, and I want to see that, for instance, I want to write code and I want to say, for instance, let's um let name equal to Emmanuel like this, and I want to say I want to console dot log, right? I want to push send a manual to the console, right? So that it can be seen. I will say name, right? And you see Emmanuel right there in my console. What happened? It appears and disappeared. What happened? Let's refresh. Normal reload. Okay, okay, it's up. Okay, so that's that about that. But the most preferred way is to create a JavaScript file and then link it to your HTML, right? In doing that, I will come to this place. I want to put it inside the same folder. Although I can put it anywhere and path to that place, but I want to put it inside the same folder to make everything easy. So what I can do is create a file name, and I'm going to call my own script. And the same way I will add HTML and CSS by adding extension of HTML to HTML file and extension of CSS to CSS file. To create a JavaScript file, I'm going to have to add a .js to make it a JavaScript file, right? Sorry, I want to take this call. So I'm really sorry about that. Really very sorry. So like I said, I would also I was talking about how we added JavaScript, HTML and CSS, right? And I said to add a JavaScript file, you just add the extension of .js, right? Which is what we are going to do here. And we have added the file. So now, after adding the file, it's not enough for us to just add the file. We still have to link it the same way we used to link. You know, in in styles, we use the link tag to link it. But in JavaScript, we are going to come here and still use that same script tag, but this time around, we are going to give it a source, right? src, sorry, src of script, the name of the file, script.js. So now we have successfully linked our JavaScript to our HTML. So if I come here and do the same thing I did there and say let's, for instance, let's name equal to Emmanuel, right? And I say console.log name, we are going to have Emmanuel right there, right? So that's just that about linking our JavaScript with our CSS. So now, before we dive deep into JavaScript properly, there are important JavaScript syntaxes that we need to understand, and one of that is JavaScript variables. What are JavaScript variables? JavaScript variables are containers that hold JavaScript values, right? Just like a bucket is a container, it holds water as its value, right? That's how JavaScript is. And just as when you want the water, you get the bucket, right? When you want a JavaScript value, you get its variable. That's the same thing we do here. So there are different JavaScript keywords that are available for you to actually create JavaScript variables to declare JavaScript variables in. They are var, let, and const. Although var is the oldest, which was what was being used, but because of some setbacks that var has prompted the invention of let and const. So let and const were just added in ESs, right? So initially var was being used, and what does it mean for a variable to be declared using var? You precede your variable name. Your variable will have a name like this. This is var. Sorry, this is my keyword var. Now I want to create a container, so I need to give that container name so that that container is identified by that name, right? And that container is going to be what? My name, right? This is my name, and I have declared it like this, right? Putting this semicolon means that this is the end of a JavaScript expression, right? This is an expression, and this is the end of it, right? So I can now come here and give it I have declared a variable. Now I want to, it's just like I have made a bucket. Now I want to put water, right? So I will now say my name equal to, this is not equal to like you have in the mathematics. This is not equal to JavaScript equal to. No, they are actually different. This is an assigning operator, not an equal to operator. It doesn't mean that my name is equal to what I want to do. Is me saying I am assigning a particular variable to my name, right? A particular value to my name. Sorry. So I'm really sorry about the distraction. So now I can now give it a value of Emmanuel. Sorry. And when I console.log that log, right? Sorry, name. Sorry, no longer name. My name. We are still going to have Emmanuel. Look at it up there. So that is that. Then also I can take this off and assign a value immediately. I declare it by saying equal to Emmanuel, which was what I did before, and it's still going to work. So what makes var different from the other keywords of let and const is because one, var has is scoped globally, right? That means whether it's inside the block or outside the block, it can be accessed from anywhere. That makes it globally scoped, unlike let and const, which are block scoped, right? They are locally scoped. Inside the block, they will not be accessed unless they are taken outside a code block, right? Then also, var is reassigned, is redeclarable. What I mean is this: I can come again and say var my name. I'm redeclaring it. I'm recreating the container again. I'm saying var my name, and I'm giving it another value of Daniel. And it's going to override, sorry, yeah, and it's going to override what was there before. You see that we now have Daniel. We still have my name. We now have two my name, but it's taking the new one to override the previous one. That is what it means by saying it's redeclarable, because I just redeclared it. Then lastly, I can reassign. I may decide to say, okay, I'm not redeclaring, because to declare you must precede your variable name with a JavaScript keyword, let, var, or const. Now I'm not redeclaring. I'm just saying my name, and I'm giving it a new value of Ayo. And you see that now it's Ayo. It has overridden everything that is there before. Then that is characteristics you have with var var keyword. Now let's look at let quickly. Let allows us to do the same thing. I'm going to be assigning and declaring and assigning value alongside. So I will say my name, the same thing I did, is equal to Emmanuel, right? And if I, okay, sorry, there's an issue of, don't forget that your variable name is case sensitive. You see that just because I used small lowercase n, that's why it did not work just now. So you see that it's the same thing, right? But the difference lies in redeclaring. I can also reassign, right? I can say my name and reassign a value of Daniel like I did before, and it will override what was there before. But the difference between this and var is that I cannot redeclare. I cannot redeclare this value. I can't say let my name. It's going to throw me an error and now give it a value of IO, right? It's not going to work like we are saying now. So I can declare, reassign, but I cannot redeclare. That is let. Then lastly, so let me take this off. Then lastly, const my name, which will still give us the same thing. For a start, Emmanuel, right? We have Emmanuel, and Emmanuel is still there, but I cannot reassign. I cannot redeclare. Sorry, I can't see const my name. Sorry, my name wrong. You see, it's already underlined red, right? It's already having wrong red underline. That means I cannot redeclare it. I can't even use another keyword to redeclare it to say my name. It's still wrong. If Java's const does not allow you to redeclare an already declared variable. If you look at my console, like I said, your console is used to debug. It can help you to debug your code. If you look at it, it's going to tell you what the problem is. It's telling me that on call syntax error identifier, my name has already been declared. So it's been declared, it's me redeclaring it, and const does not allow me to redeclare, and that's why it's throwing that error, right? So I cannot redeclare. Also, I cannot reassign. I can't say my name is now equal to Daniel, right? You see that. Now, what's the error? It said uncaught type error assigned to constant variable. On assignment to constant variable, right? So I am assigning something to constant variable, something a variable, a variable that already has a value. I'm assigning a value to it. Const does not allow that. So these are the difference between these two, right? Then that's one. Like I said, we are going to be looking at some of JavaScript syntax. The next one we are going to be looking at is JavaScript data types, right? When we talk about JavaScript data type, like I said, when you create a variable, you give it a value. What type of value did you give to your variable? That is what data types is talking about. The value you give to this variable, the contents you put inside this container. What is the type? Is it a number? Is it a string? Is it a boolean? Is it an array? Is it an object? That is what you look at when you are talking about when we are talking about. I hope I'm recording. Okay, I am. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about JavaScript data types. So quickly, we are going to look at the most common JavaScript data type. Like I said, we are not going to be, this is fundamental classes. We are not looking at advanced level JavaScript, right? We are looking at fundamentals because our target here is beginners. We are actually dealing with beginners, and we expect that everybody is coming from a complete beginner background, right? So we are going to look at, first we will look at numbers, right? You have number types, right? Now, if you look at everything we have been doing, we have not been using, there's no number there, right, is string. And what makes you know that is a string? You see that the values are always inside quotation. So values inside quotation, and that quotation that you put the value inside tells you that it's a string. So even if let's take a look at let. For the purpose of this class, like I said, I'm going to be using let because var is outdated, right? Let me just take down here off. Let me take this off, and now let me take the quotation off, right? Like this. And let's console.log my name and see what's going to tell us. Uncaught error. Emmanuel is not defined because yes, what JavaScript is saying now is saying Emmanuel as a variable, not as a variable value, because it's neither a string nor a number nor a bool. It's none of any JavaScript data type. So it's looking at it as a value, as a variable, but there's no value for it. And that's why it's telling you that it's not defined, right? Emmanuel is not defined. I did not define this variable anywhere. So why am I giving it to my name? But assuming I come up here and say let Emmanuel, Emmanuel equal to 10, right? Now you are going to get 10 because I am saying Emmanuel is having a value of 10. Now I'm saying my name should be that value of Emmanuel. My name should be Emmanuel. And I said whenever you want the value, you get the bucket. Whenever you want the water, you get the bucket. Whenever you want the value, you get the variable. So now I want the value of Emmanuel, so I'm getting Emmanuel. So now you see that what I gave to Emmanuel is a number. So that's another type, data type of number, right? So like I said, strings are always in quotation. If I put quotation in this my 10, right? You see that is now different. This number that it used to be is now being treated as string. So instead of being 10, it's now 10, no longer 10, right? So that is how JavaScript. But then JavaScript, another very important JavaScript type is the Boolean, right? The Boolean is talking about whether a particular condition is true or false, and they always have that value of true or false. So Emmanuel can be true or false. Is Emmanuel a male? True or false? No, those Boolean that a situation where um, you have to specify or you have to pick out of two whether something is truthy or falsy, right? So if I say Emmanuel is a Boolean now and I'm saying this, let me refresh and see. You see that it's telling us that Emmanuel is true, right? So that is Boolean type. So whenever you see true or false is Boolean. The type of value, the type of value that Emmanuel is holding now is Boolean. Then Emmanuel can also hold an array. Now what's an array? An array is a data type that holds related values, right? So the values are always inside a square bracket, just like this. So I can decide to put my values and separate them with a comma. So I can say 2, 4, 6, 5, 6. So these are JavaScript array. This is a JavaScript array having different numbers inside of it. So there are different ways I can access this. I can access using the square bracket as well, and I can also access each of these values using dot notation, right? So, but this is just I just wanted because we are looking at syntaxes, right? So this is the syntax of how JavaScript what's it called array looks like. Then objects, if it's objects, okay, let me change this to var because I want to redeclare it. I want to be able to redeclare it. So I want to say var Emmanuel again, and I'm saying this time around it should be an object. So object is characterized by a curly bracket, unlike array, which is a square bracket, Object is a curly bracket, right? So inside of it, and its values are usually property value paired, right? Property value pair. So for instance, I can say inside this Emmanuel, I want Emmanuel to be an object of students, right? So inside this students, okay, let me even change this to students. Let's say student details. Sorry, student details. And I want to say I want to have pair. I want to have student's name, right? Things like this. This is a property, and I want to give it a value of Daniel Danjuma. So that is one value, right? Like I said, this is property value paired. You see, I added a comma. So the property is followed by a colon, then the value. Then if you want to add more value, you separate it with comma. So that's at the point I'm giving it a comma. And I want to say class again. I'm giving it a value of what? I'm giving it a value of S3. So you can go on and on. I can put another comma and say age. I want the age to be sorry, because I want it to be a number. I don't need to add quotation. I say 16. So this is a variable. This is an object, right? So these are the most common JavaScript data types that we are going to be using. Though there are more, you can do your research and know more about some other JavaScript type, but these are the most common that you are going to be frequently using, right? So that is going to take us to the end of this introduction class today, and henceforth, I think from the next class, we will be looking at some other very vital stuffs like functions and how they can and from them we can start diving into how to use them to actually work on our real life code, right? Because everything we are doing here now, you can see that is on the console because we just want to test run and see what we are doing. So as time goes on, we are going to be needing to be seeing them for real, right? In real life. So then we are going to be applying them to our real code, and we need to understand something as well, understand a little of DOM manipulations and creation of functions and all of that before we'll be able to do all that. So thank you for being a part of today's section, and also thank you Codeflex for making this a reality. Like like I will always say, please like, share, and comment, and so that this whatever we are doing here can go a long way to impact on other people and not just you. All right. I will be seeing you in the next section if God wants us to see in the next section. So thank you and goodbye.